What is going on, nation? It is your boy C-Ton, and we are officially back with battles in the PWC. We got a week 1 matchup against Dave, aka Fire King, coach of Minnesota Victinis, and this is actually a divisional matchup right off the bat, so that's really cool. And Dave's also the founder of the PWC, so this is a really important battle right off the beginning. If you want to know more about the team that I am bringing, I have a link to the team builder in the description down below. In addition, I will have a link to Dave's channel so you can see his perspective throughout the battle as well. Anyway, getting into it, his potential leads are Registeel, Dusk Noir, and Pharaoh Seed. I imagine Dusk Noir is probably the least likely because based off of his team build, he brought speed with a Pharaoh Seed and a Registeel, so I imagine that he's going to bring hazards because that Dusk Noir is... I wasn't necessarily expecting it. I thought it had a good possibility of coming, and my only control over hazards is rapid spin. So it being here kind of leads me to believe that he is going to try to bring hazards. In addition, if that Pharaoh Seed has Gyro Ball, it'll break my Kyurem's subs, and Kyurem can't really do too much to, well, my Kyurem can't really do too much to this Pharaoh Seed. So I decided to lead with my Tornadus, because it matches up well against all 3 of these options. And sure enough, he leads with his Pharaoh Seed. And I'm just going to click Taunt right off the bat because I don't want rocks, I don't want spikes, I don't want anything coming on my side of the field, or even a Leash Seed. I don't want anything going on. He switches into his Registeel, which is really big because Registeel usually only bring rocks, Toxic, and then Seismic Toss and another move. He probably brought Iron Head because of my Kyurem, I'd imagine, knowing that Seismic Tosses don't break its sub. But anyway, I decided to go for my Z move, All Out Pummeling, and do a clean 60%. This turn actually took me one of the longest of the battle because I was really afraid he'd switch into Dusk Noir, considering that his Registeel is taunted. Because I think he switched in trying to get up his rocks. So then I thought about it. He went hard into his Registeel. So that's probably his designated counter to this. So I ended up taking the risk, going for the all-out pummeling and doing a clean 60. So now we're just going to click some inaccurate moves and hope for the best. So we start off with going for a nice clean focus miss, and sure enough, we actually hit this one. He goes for another Seismic Toss. Me down to 38, and the taunt is going to wear off here. So this is another 50-50. I can go for Focus Blast, I can go for a Hurricane, or I can go for another taunt. I feel like he's going to predict me to go for another taunt and just click another Seismic Toss. And with that being said, if he is predicting me to go for another Focus Blast, he could go into his Dusk Noir, which is obviously immune. Thunderous, which is resistant, and Latios, which is resistant. None of which seem too likely, given that his Registeel is down to 11%. But at any sense, Focus Blast and Hurricane have the same accuracy, and I already hit a Focus Blast, so I'm going to risk it and go for a Hurricane here. Sure enough, I got really lucky with those two, and that Registeel is gone right off the bat. That's one of his potential hazard setters. Sorry. As we went over in the team builder, I don't have U-turn on this Tornadus, so I'm just going to hard switch out into my Politoed, scout out what kind of set this Latios is. If he goes for a Dragon Dance here, I can just haze away the stats, and he'll be back down to neutral, because I can live +1 Earthquake or Dragon Claw from this thing. In addition, if he is a special variant, I'll be able to take that, and I can still haze away Calm Minds. I'm still going to be in a good position regardless. He goes for Dragon Pulse, so that shows me that he is a special variant, and I have my Silvally Steel here for any special Latios. The best potential coverage he had for me would have been Hidden Power Fire, and I'm in the rain, so that would have been halved, so it still wouldn't have been doing much to me, and it's a very clean switch-in. So I take an Energy Ball for 11%. It's good to note that he has Energy Ball instead of Thunderbolt, obviously because of my Swampert and Kabutops. It's a really smart bring on his part. But there's no way he's staying on this. As I just said, there's nothing he can touch me with, so I'm just going to click Parting Shot. And sure enough, he switches out to his Pharaoh Seed. And I'm going to Parting Shot out into my Tornadus there, making sure that no hazards come on. So I'm just going to click Taunt. If he decides to stay in, he stays in. If he doesn't, he doesn't. He goes into his Dusknoir, which is Frisk. So he sees that I'm fighting Z. Oh no. Shoot, now he knows. But yeah, I get off a nice taunt. Alternatively, I could have gone for Hurricane predicting this, but I didn't think it was worth the risk, because if it comes down to it, I don't want Kyurem taking 25%. If Tornadus keeps switching in and out, I don't want it taking rocks damage to nullify that. I just don't think it's worth it overall. Plus, Jolteon still has a ton of Volt Switch opportunities. For example, like if Manaphy's in, I can Volt Switch out, and I just don't want the additional rocks damage. But now I have my Tornadus in, and I'm just going to start spamming Hurricane. He stays in, goes for a Shadow Sneak. Good play on his part, just to get some chip damage off. And the same turn is going to happen again. I'm just going to click Hurricane, he's going to click Shadow Sneak, and I get a little bit of an unfortunate crit. I'm going to pause it real quick, though, because in the end it doesn't necessarily matter. The only way it would have mattered is... Actually, no, it doesn't regardless, because if he goes into Lottie here, it wouldn't have mattered, because I would have switched out, and then I would have gotten Generator health back. But anything else, it didn't matter, because if you went Thunderous Incarnate, I was just clicking Hidden Power Ice and taking this thing out. Or I wasn't taking it out, but I was getting nice chip damage off on it. If he goes Manaphy, I'm just going to sack it to Manaphy and get off a Hurricane. If he goes Pharaoh Seed, I'm clicking Taunt, and then if he goes for a Gyro Ball, he takes me out anyway. You'll see he goes into Manaphy, so it's redundant. I'm just going to click Hurricane, get off damage. I don't want a Manaphy setting up in my face on a free switch in. So I do a clean 53%, and he clicks Calm Mind, which is really smart brain given that I'm a Marine team, because he could bring the Hydration Rest set, and he ends up just clicking Scald and taking out my Tornadus. Like I said, I plan on just sacking my turn 1 against this Manaphy. Well, not turn 1, but the turn before this. So the Regenerator crit doesn't necessarily matter, because even if he was no investment on that Manaphy, he still took out that Tornadus. So this Manaphy's down to 16%, so I'm just going to go into Jolteon. It's the freest Volt Switcher of my life, and even if he has Wakan Berry, I'm still taking it out, as he eats his Wakan Berry, as we predicted in our prep. And I'm just going to go into my Silvally. This was a potential opportunity for him to go into Pharaoh Seed to get a procs, but I'm packing Flamethrower, so I kind of wished he went there. But he doesn't. He goes into his Thunderous Incarnate, and he's going to click Hidden Power Ground, which I didn't really expect. Sorry, I should let that happen, because I thought he'd be like a superpower variant to hit my Jolteon on a switch in. So I click Parting Shot, and this is where I start getting really scared, because I go into my Jolteon now. Because if he's superpower, he is blowing me into 30 different dimensions. And I didn't think Parting Shot double procced 1, which I found really interesting, so I know that for the future. And 2, I was almost certain he would be Prankster, given my Swift Swimmers in Kabutops and Beartic, which can be slowed down. Obviously, Swampert can't. I get why he isn't bringing that, because I have a Volt Absorb Jolteon. Yeah, that scared the absolute crap out of me. So I'm clicking Volt Switch here. Normally I'd go for 2 Thunderbolts, because I can take 1 neutral superpower, and I go into my Politoed, just trying to sack it off to a potential superpower. He goes for a Hidden Power Ground again, so that reveals that he doesn't have it, and I have a huge sigh of relief. And I'm just going to go for an Ice Beam, because he doesn't really have anything to hit me except for Thunderbolt, and he's never going to click that while I have a Jolteon around. So I'm just going for an Ice Beam. Unfortunately, he lives. I don't know if it was a low roll, but I thought it would take him out. It would have been nice to have this in against the Latios to click Ice Beams, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So I'm just going to switch out, go into my Jolteon. I can eat up a Grass Knot easily. It does 25% on a crit, so yeah, it's super relevant. Here, I probably should have Volt Switched. I clicked Signal Beam, thinking it was the best coverage all around for his team, which it's not wrong. But I click Signal Beam here, it does 48, and he clicks Calm Mind. And this is one of my bigger misplays, because in my test battles, sorry for pausing so much, but in my test battles, I went against only Dragon Dancing Lotties. Sorry if that motorcycle is annoying, by the way. Um, so in my brain, I'm Choice Scarfed. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna outspeed it again. I just saw setup, and I was like, oh, okay, that's +1/+1, and I assumed it was attack and speed, which obviously it's not. So I click Signal Beam again instead of hard switching into my counter to this, which is still Valley. So I click Signal Beam, and it does significantly less, and this is when I realize, oh crap, that was Calm Mind. He roosts it off, and now he can go for another Calm Mind, and I'm a little bit behind, so I go into my Silvally a turn late. And I get off my Toxic, which is nice. I'm going to be able to backtrack and start bringing myself back to it. But this could have been a really clean 4-0 if I played that better. I still would have lost my Silvally, but I don't think I would have lost necessarily anything else, because I could have switched around on my hits to take out Pharaoh Seed, but regardless, that didn't happen, so it doesn't matter. And he's going to click Dragon Pulse and get rid of my Silvally. So now we go into Politoed. We're basically just sacking it off to get the rain up. He's going to click Dragon Pulse again, take us out. And now I have rain up, and Swampert can take this thing out. So we're still going to pull out the W, which is really nice because we hit that Toxic, but ultimately it was a silly misplay on my part. There's no variation of Eladios that would have lived that, and now it's just Pharaoh Seed against the world, so I'm just going to click Earthquake a couple times. He's going to click Seed Bomb just to hit me for super effective damage and take me out on the second one. And now Jolteon just comes in and clicks Shadow Ball and gets its third kill of the game. So really good game from Dave. Sorry, I've worked ahead a little bit. But he brought 5-2 different. Yeah, it was 5 against 2, and he brought it back to a 2-0, which was really, really good. Really impressive, because differential matters in this league. So I might have screwed someone else over with that play. But at the end of the day, we're in this league to learn and have fun, and it was a really fun battle. So good game to Dave. Make sure you leave a like and a comment down below, and until next week, peace.